3. Oh, we're good. We are game. Welcome back to, let me do the little clap just so we can sync it. I don't know how that works, but I'll figure it out. Welcome back to episode 2 of Window to the Soul, a podcast brought to you in part by Richmond Window Corporation and Renewal by Anderson of Central Virginia. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Covert. I'm here with Andrew Phillips and the VP of Marketing here at Richmond Window Corp, Lucy O'Shields.
Hello, hello.
She graced us with her presence for episode 2. Lucy, how are you? How was your weekend?
It was fantastic. Thank you.
Anything special happen?
Actually, yeah. It was the first time that I got to attend a military ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
Right? Like, what is that?
Do you have, what was the relation to the ball? Do you have someone in your family that's in the military?
I do. Yeah, my husband. He's
wow.
active duty.
That's exciting.
Army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's been in 18 years.
Wow.
And he's really looking forward to retiring. But I was really thankful to be able to attend. It was the celebration of the aviation brigade. So I was able to be there with a bunch of pilots, crew chiefs, leaders, commanders.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Maverick was there.
It was awesome.
That's awesome. And 18 years, that's a long time.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Like that's dedication.
Are you looking forward to the next ball? Or like,
I hope they have another one.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, they were put off a couple of years, but we drove up. He was in charge of setting up the grog. Have you ever heard that term, grog?
The grog. What's a grog?
Yeah, right. So like the best way I can explain it is, those big pots that you would see. Oh, this is hilarious. Like in a movie with like a witch and they put all this stuff in it.
Oh.
So they like, pretend to make this recipe that would be icky, but really you put in like juice and like alcohol.
like a jungle juice?
Yeah.
Were they at a military ball?
Yeah. And you're like, look at what is happening.
The WNBA
so
star.
Excited. WNBA star got a little fancy
about the jungle juice. But that's exciting. And he was the chief of the jungle juice pot.
He and another person were able to coordinate different skits. So as people came in, they gave significance to the pouring of certain items.
Yeah. At least they got to let loose and
it was
fun.
good. And we were all in our formal gowns.
Oh,
yeah.
That's exciting.
So it was formal at this wonderful, the Army Navy Country Club in Arlington. It was beautiful.
Isn't that wine country, Arlington? Don't they have a lot of...
That is not.
They don't have wine country?
Look at a map. No, it is not. Arlington's pretty dope. You would like it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But following...
That was fun.
So following that, a new prompt that I think that should be initiated into the Window to the Soul. It was inspired by the co-host Andrew Phillips in a way, and then I took it from a few other things. But if you were to describe what you do at Richmond Window Corp to your Uber driver, how would you do it?
Yeah, I think I've had to do this many times. So sometimes I'm sarcastic and I'm just, kind of like...
Depends on the driver.
It does depend on the driver. And it also depends on how tired I am. If you give me a 5 a.m., you're going to get a short answer.
Really?
You get me coming off of a flight in the afternoon, I'm Chatty Cathy or Chatty Lucy.
Chatty Lucy.
I don't want to...
O'Shields, to be specific.
Yeah, let's go there. No, I just talk to people. But I talk to people in the way that they want to communicate. So if they're reading something, if they're opening something, if they're listening to something, it's really our job to find out how they'd like to be communicated with and then how we can support that vision. Yeah.
So, that was a very humble answer. She oversees every bit of communication.
All the things.
But I think that's what makes you and your team stand out. You have a very personal flair to it. And where did that need for that personal flair come from? Like, where did that creative idea, like, did you work at a previous job that lacked it? Or like, what made you want to bring that forward so heavily? Because that's hugely emphasized here. And I love it.
So I was neglected as a kid. No, I'm just kidding.
You wanted handwritten letters.
No, I think, honestly, it evolved over the years. I mean, I went to school. I was a pre-med major in college. I ended up my last year of college convincing my father that I just wanted to get out and work. So I changed my major to a liberal studies degree. Got out and I went into talent acquisition and recruitment. The top 20% of the IT marketplace at the time. Wow. Was a company in Boston. So I quickly learned communication styles with all different cultures and different dialects. So it opened my eyes working in Northern Virginia and DC to be able to, grow from that. I then, right before coming here, I was a competitive intelligence recruiter for a global IT, healthcare IT company. And my role was a competitive intelligence recruiter.
That sounds super fancy.
So like fancy troll, I guess.
But you managed
trolling everything, trying to find people. But part of that was the ability to go and find the people that we needed based on the behaviors of other companies. So along with events, along with, certain things that rolled over. So when I interviewed for this position, it was different. It was wildly different, but it really fell into my skill sets of research, analysis, and wanting to communicate. I've always been someone that is very intentional in my wording.
Right. And you said it was different. What do you mean by different when you came on here?
Honestly, coming from 10 years in Northern Virginia, I grew up in the country in Roanoke, Virginia.
In wine country.
Also no.
Also wrong.
Also wrong.
Also correct.
I mean, we can head over to Charlottesville and then I'll be like, yeah.
I still think Arlington, never mind. Well, that's another time. That's another time.
It is.
I feel like it's wine country, but you came from Nova, which is the hip way to call it, Nova, Northern VA.
Actually, when I lived there, it was the DMV. How's that?
Yeah, I always
District Maryland and Virginia.
I didn't even know that's what it stood for. I always thought it was the vehicle.
The
vehicle. I was like, how do you live in the DMV?
I love it.
But you came to Richmond Window. It was difficult or different. Excuse me.
Different. Also difficult.
Good.
But in a good way. I really had to pump the brakes. Hilariously enough, coming in, smaller home improvement company, and here's this person who's been in Northern Virginia with a BlackBerry. The organization didn't have an email.
Wow. We love BlackBerries though. Yeah. I never had one. But
okay. Well, I can't. Yeah.
Continue. So you felt ill prepared?
I think they were ill prepared for me, and I was probably coming in like a wrecking ball.
Right.
Not to be too cliche. But that's also, if anybody knows me very well, that's also my personality. I come off strong because I have conviction. And so I came in, I had ideas, and I wasn't liked, and I knew that. But I overcame it. Right. With every chance I got, I tried to do a good deed and show change and create process. And, it just evolved. And change takes time. Yeah. You have to build it. You have to build that culture of trust and understanding. You can't just come in and think things are going to change. And part of that is me being in my 20s. I made mistakes along the way, but they were patient with me. Right.
And so getting there, you came in like a wrecking ball.
A little bit.
And so got this question from Mr. Phillips on his on episode 3 or episode 2, whichever this one comes out chronologically. Okay. What was day one like at Richmond Window for you?
Literally, like, put the park brake on.
In terms of your ideas, you just had to go one by one, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I am not kidding when I say, like, I came down with a BlackBerry and, like, I expected a certain pace. They literally were writing phone messages and putting it on a corkboard. So, like, I had to use my personal Yahoo. I had to walk downstairs to communicate. They put me in an office upstairs where nobody was, like, nobody in the building. It was just me. And they, it was really to start creating that marketing department. The whole time Paige had been handling marketing, and this was the first time he had hired someone to come in and really create that that whole department.
Yeah.
My first task was to create this first ever PowerPoint presentation, digital presentation, for the design consultants before they had this like 3-ring binder, like thick book. They would, you like this?
Flip through.
Yeah. So like this was a really big opportunity.
Yeah.
I honestly felt like I was back in high school trying to create this because it was really tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't a graphic designer. I wasn't like creative. I feel you. I couldn't channel my future Steven. But it was challenging, but I loved it because I was able to be creative and take time on it. And really gain trust from the design consultants that were on staff.
Yeah, absolutely. And as she mentioned, she was in a small room upstairs. That kind of reminds me of our small room in the back. She's trying to put us through her character journey to train us on how to. So for those listening at home, the current marketing team, we have a little cave in the back. It's wonderful, but it reminds me of that story.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It has a window. Yep. It's right next to the trash truck.
You have two.
My trash every day.
Smash
my trash. You have 2 walls of windows. I had a window, and my carpet was red.
Oh,
it was actually pretty like demanding. It was very like.
Isn't red like a color of
money? I believe,
or like anger, right? Or they
coming from the redhead. I backtrack.
It gets you fired up to have a red carpet. But okay, so knowing this first day, what was important to you? Like when you sat down, you looked at everything, you looked at kind of the outdated way of doing things. Yeah. And you said, okay, what change do I need to make, and how am I going to do it? What was like the end goal to that?
Yeah,
as far as you can remember.
Because it's been a long time.
Well, you've been through so many marketing strategies.
I have, but it's all been one goal, and that's really just to contribute to the growth of the organization. I mean, quite honestly, I have, a second layer to everything here, and that is the fact that Paige is my family. Yeah. He's known me since I was 9. So there was a little bit more pressure, I feel like, on my shoulders to make sure I didn't mess it up.
Right. You tore into the red carpet, but you didn't mess up the bar. You're in there tearing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that makes sense.
My vision was to really make sure that I heard him and I understood his vision for my position, and that I was continuing to try to grow and thrive. Yeah. Sometimes I didn't know what that meant, and I needed to figure it out.
That's the best way to do it, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, that's how we all do it. But I was also, 28. I'm 41. That's nuts.
But you've had a long history of success.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been wonderful to see everything that's happened and all the changes that have come about. All the people that
2 of them being right in front of you.
Yes.
two bright, strapping young men.
We collaborate.
We make podcasts.
It is so great.
But with that goal in mind, that you just mentioned, what was predominantly your biggest obstacle to get where you wanted to go? We're asking thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, no, this is great. Probably myself. I get in my own way at times. I can overthink things. I'm a very detailed person, and since I am so intentional and I want things to go the right way, I can do things over again, or I can make sure it's right, and it can take too long doing it. So I've had, good and bad experiences from that, but I think I've definitely learned along the way, and I have grown a team that really complements my personality and the culture in which I think is most appropriate for the growth of our organization and a part of our community.
Yeah. So it was almost the idea of just leaning into trusting yourself and your intuition. Yeah. How did you do it? Like, what was, obviously it's a gradual process, but was it just like step by step? Like one mission was, all right, like that worked, let me push the envelope, or were you always kind of like?
I always pushed. I am definitely I always pushed harder. If I ever think I'm working hard, I work harder than that. And then I work harder than that. And then maybe I think I'm making a difference. There's never a point where I can say, and even in my personal life decisions, there's never a point where I say, well, I did my best, but if I know I didn't do my best, there's this like guilt that happens
like a
to
tugging.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always have to exhaust whatever the best is in my brain before I'm like, I'm good. I can walk away now.
I think marketing is funny like that. Like you have a lot of freedom. And it's like you could do the bare minimum and get the job done, but there's so much flexibility that it's like there's so much more that you could do to achieve so much more. So it's just a constant race.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think getting the job done is in the definition of someone's mind. Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
You know, is it just like task is done, or is it done well, or is it done so it's fantastic and everybody gets to enjoy it, or it can be passed along?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned the like the moments that kind of forged you into that marketer or into that leader. Can you remember distinct moments that were like, okay, this failed, or this breakdown really forged me to understand myself a little better, to push that envelope? Or was it always just growth after growth? Can you remember any defining moments?
There are defining moments in my career here. And there are influential people that have come along to make sure that has happened. You know, there are certain moments in visiting Coro locations as well as corporate. Jeannie Junker has been influential in my growth. Even though she's at a distance, there have been some, you know, very important conversations that she's held with me that I've just taken to my core and kind of like given myself strength along the way.
Yeah.
You know, in full transparency, you know, women in leadership and home improvement hasn't always been like, hell yeah. You know, it's been, you know, a ladder to climb, a trust to earn, you know. And I'm glad to do it, and I'm glad to be here. And then even in our organization, we've had certain employees that you learn how to communicate with all different personalities. And there's certain people that haven't gone along with me. And so you have to sit back and say, what could I have done to make it better? Not only for them, but for everybody around us, because I'm sure they're going through hell with us, right? Like they don't want to hear anything that's not positive. This is their work day too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's more along the lines of how many times you experience things and how many times you fail and what you do with that experience, you know, and what your growth looks like.
Yeah.
And that's really what builds grit, your culture, where you want to go, you know. And the last 8 years hasn't been easy for me in my personal life either, you know. So like dealing with divorce, you know, custody issues, things like that. It really helps you become someone that you either go down a rabbit hole and you become super negative, or you figure that out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm just one of those types of people that I figured out. There will never be a day that you're going to put me in a situation that's lesser than what I want or where I need to be, because I will always try to make myself get better and be better. And then those around me will thrive and be better with me.
Wow. We're definitely going to clip that for an Instagram reel. That was awesome. Wow. And that kind of, I guess, leads into the next thing I wanted to ask you. Like, what do you think makes a great leader? I mean, and you kind of just defined it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
nail on the head.
Through the experiences, through the connection with all different types of employees. And at what point did you kind of find yourself shifting from just the marketer to now I have to lead a marketing team? You know, and like what was your like prerequisites to picking a team? Like, did you have to kind of find areas of yourself? You're like, okay, this is what I need to recruit, or how did that process look? Especially for me and Mr. Phillips here. Yeah.
No, both of you have different scenarios in my head of the reason you're here. And like I said in the beginning, I do things with intention. And so when I speak, I often, you know, Paige used to make fun of me, you know, back in the day, like, what are you looking at? because often I go in my head and I try to find the words that I really want to say before I speak, and my eyes go up and around the room. And, but I'm the same way with my actions. I would like to say all the time, but I make mistakes all the time too. Yeah. But really the pivot point to become a leader and to create a wonderful marketing team has really been about how I want to live my life. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you hear people talking about culture and how our society is shifting in certain ways and what the expectation is in certain work cultures. But really, when it comes down to it, if you want to be about it, you got to take action. You got to talk about it early and often in every meeting, and mostly every conversation. You need to talk about our core values. You need to talk about who we are, what difference we make, what difference you make when you step in the door, bringing your best version of yourself. You have to talk about it all the time, because otherwise people, they hear it and that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm going to my car and I'm going to go get lunch. And then me and my boys are going to go and like,
you leave it at the door.
Yeah, exactly. But if you walk right back in and you just hear it, then you're around people that are talking all day about being better, doing better, not only in your own culture, but in your community. So I needed that too in my life, especially everything that I've been going through in my personal life. And then I was lucky enough to meet my now husband, and attend the military ball
and get a free invite to the military ball.
I know, that's right.
Continue. Sorry.
But it's very uplifting. And especially when you're going through hard times, to have people around you that are always talking about choose happy, make a difference. You can do this. It really kind of resonates. And so it held a special place for me. And I wanted that to continue, because it's so easy for that kind of trend to just go away, leave it at the door. And so in looking for new team members, not only do I hold on to the aspect of hiring experts in their field, because my bandwidth is only so big. I can only do so much. So I quickly realized when hiring for certain positions, I needed the person to know more than I do and to do that position very well. So not only do they have to have the skill set and the expertise, but I gotta like you.
Right.
I gotta collaborate with you. I gotta laugh with you.
Yeah.
I gotta sit down. And if you are doing things that I think you could do better and you're even shorting yourself, I gotta have that hard conversation with you. And I know it's hard, but I need you to have the resilience and the self-efficacy to say like, I got this.
Yeah.
And I trust you. Thank you for coming to me. And you don't feel like insecure and like, she's just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it has to be also like a click in your gut to say, man, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's got something about him that's like, there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's like something there.
There's something digging just deep down. No, absolutely. So, and I think that constructive criticism comes easier when there's a positive environment that's just all around the office.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to be yelled at, to have things thrown at you. That's honestly my first job.
Yeah.
I will never, I've been there. Yeah. So I know what it is to have footballs thrown at your head when you don't make a call right.
Yeah.
Hell, man, thank goodness, those days are gone in cultures. Well, I hope for everybody else. If they're not, come join our team.
Do you what? I hope so too. Yeah, I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
What would be a football now for you? Like, what are things that will hit you by surprise, or what catches you by surprise now?
Yeah, well, it's really kind of funny. The vice president of sales, Steve Began, and I talk about often how since we've changed our culture, the people that aren't grasping it, the people that aren't fully invested in who we are as a culture, bringing them their best selves, or really looking and leaning into who we are, they really kind of show themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think surprises me, of all the positivity. I have children. There's this book, The Bad Egg.
Oh, good. I like where this is going.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of, he's got brothers and sisters that are positive eggs, and he's just the bad egg.
He's the bad egg, yeah.
But there's all, grumpy monkey. Yeah, that's a good one.
Monkey, yeah.
Oh man, that's a good one.
We're gonna have you start naming all these different people.
The pout fish. Oh, I can go on.
Like,
No,
well, we won't talk about who the grumpy monkey is.
No, it's great though. Yeah. But I think that surprises me the most, or the snarky emails, even like.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
I haven't gotten many. I mean, you've done a good job of keeping us safe behind the snarky emails.
Well, I mean, I used to be like, I'm sure people can remember, I probably sent quite a few back in the day, you know, because your tone can be like taken in so many different ways because you can't see what your face looks like, the tone looks like. But the last interaction most likely is what they hear in their head, like,
exactly like that.
Yeah.
You sounded like the Charlie Brown characters.
Yeah, that's so fitting since I'm Lucy.
Right, that's how I read all the emails that you send. Just, I'm just kidding, of course.
Good to know, Steven.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll text you from now on. Bunch of emojis.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And so you recently attended the marketing summit.
Yeah, in Minnesota.
And I'm sure as someone that needs that positive culture, and it's very encouraging. What did you think about the summit? It
was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so great to be able to come together again.
Yeah.
Since COVID, we have not been able to meet in person. And it was the second largest event that they've had for a marketing summit in their history. And
marketing's growing. We're getting it here at Renewal by Anderson.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
And to be able, so I was, asked to be on stage to talk with two colleagues that are positioned across the country, but we were asked to get up on stage and speak. And I don't know, it's always so invigorating, like to be able to not only to connect again, but to be able to be looked at as someone that is respected. I mean, it's completely humbling. And at the same time, like you kind of don't think like yourself, you're just kind of like, is this really me? Did I really do that? You know what I mean?
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome.
Right.
Yeah. I think I suffer from that more than anybody thinks. Like I often think like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I can't do this. But
you put it into third and you do it.
I do it. Yeah. I just get it done without even
second nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your, what were you speaking about at the conference?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
You're just like motivational things.
No, not at all. So we had an agenda to talk about, kind of how you make it through not only recession, but looking at coming out of COVID, looking at your numbers, budgets, and analytics, and it's really kind of interesting in this position. Not a lot of the rest of the company, in my opinion, knows exactly what marketers do other than they put leads on the board, right? A lot of organizations and a lot of marketers, even across the network, have often like joked, they think we just play with crayons all day. Like
or microphones in this case.
Yeah, but this one's fun.
Or a soundboard with colored buttons on it.
I know, right? Let's do it.
That's what we're doing, yeah.
No, but there's a lot of math and detail and analytics involved in all that we do. And the amount of time and constraint, but you can't necessarily describe that to anyone that's not literally living it. But when you have 180 to 230, whatever the count was, it was some significant amount of people. It was a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you have all those people in the room. Didn't that sound like a cat?
Yeah, it sounded like a cat fell into water.
When you do this, you need to have that image, like find one.
That's so funny. We need to get some soundproofed walls. The cats are coming in. It's so funny. But that, once we get our new building, we get out of studio.
It's not that. It's just so easy, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Imagine that, just coming in here and sitting down and just hitting the button. Us as marketers we're not given a fair shake.
We're losing crayon time.
We're losing a lot.
We're losing God, I was on page 5.
I know. Crayons. Oh man.
But it is tough. I think, being a marketer in this business one, I know we got some.
The cat can speaking English right now. We need an on-air sign, but continue.
But if everyone knew exactly what we did, I think across the organization, I think they'd have an even better respect for how hard it is to get those leads on the board and to nurture the homeowner through their journey. And part of this marketing summit was not only about finding those leads and don't worry because it is getting slow in certain areas, but to make sure that we're nurturing that homeowner through their journey.
Yeah.
You know, from the touch point of the website to perusing this podcast when they're on their treadmill.
Or even the morning commute.
Yes.
While they have their coffee.
Exactly.
Their Renewal by Anderson coffee.
Yep.
But hopefully it boosts morale for all internal, external. Well, that's funny. What do you find? Because you're not only just the marketing champ, but you're also kind of like, you oversee almost everything in a way, and you're very good at capturing that community. What do you feel like? What does a window and home improvement company need the most out of culture?
Yeah, well, happy employees make a difference and make happy homeowners.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing. No one, I mean, even if what's your favorite store? Where do you like to, what's your favorite place to go?
Oh, we're flipping it over.
Yeah. I just want to make
I'm in the hot seat right now. Favorite store, narrow it for me.
It doesn't matter. Just, come
on. I'm gonna pick the right one.
Is it a product?
This is gonna sound very Jim Bro. I like the Vitamin Shop.
Yeah.
That's where I spend most of my money and time, just because that market's super expensive. But GNC, I'm a big Walmart guy. Aldi or Lidl, huge for savings.
What's the reason for the pull for Vitamin Shop?
They have everything I need, and they present it in a very clean, squeaky way. Are you? Wow.
There you go.
I answered the question.
So there is a reason. I mean, like, obviously whatever process they have there to market, they're making sure that the people they want you to notice, you know, it's pristine. It's arranged in a way that makes sense to you, makes you want to come back.
Yeah.
For us, you know, I think, you know, as you know, most of my meetings are labeled human experience strategy. And I do it on purpose, even if we don't always get to the full strategy of internal and external marketing. But it's a full experience.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's a full experience for not only the homeowner touching base, you know, at web lead 1 or phone call 1. But as they make their way through to our national ISC, and then they have their touch point with our design consultants, and then our sales administration team and our accounting team, and then our operations and service and install team. You know, it's a touch point at every advantage. And I think human experience strategy is really the experience that they're having along that journey. And then incorporating, since now talent acquisition marketing is so important with having Thomas and Vanessa in our marketing department. It's such a different aspect. And I'm glad I had the experience, you know, being in recruitment in my past life. But having them in our department makes so much sense, because then we can look at the employee journey. What does it look like when they touch our website and apply to a position? What does it look like when they have their first phone call with us? And then when they come in for their interview and they actually onboard, and what does post-boarding look like? You know, what does the retention look like in their process throughout their departments? So I think it's all incorporated. And I have this, you know, I have all these ideas. I feel like sometimes I look at myself like a cartoon, and I've got these bubbles that are just floating out here. And I just sometimes have to grab them and bring them in and make the idea tangible, and then roll it out so that people can really feel that passion that I feel, because I truly see that it's all incorporated into one. So as we have happy employees that come in and have their journey with us, they're going to make some customer, homeowner, you know, so much happier, because they're enjoying what they do. They don't just want to come in and like, 5 o'clock, I'm waiting for you.
They're ambassadors. Yeah.
They really love it. And it is like, I've talked to so many people that like, they would say, I never thought I'd work for a replacement window and door company. You know what I mean? Because if you break it down, it's like, that's not glamorous. Yeah. It's like,
you can create culture anywhere.
Yeah.
Even at the window replacement store.
The window replacement store.
But no, like you said, it's the human condition. And I think if all departments are chained together for the unifying goal,
yeah,
you create a culture.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's where we go every day. Like when you're not home, you're not working out. When I'm not home, I'm not with the kids or
at a military ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep coming back to that. I think it's so funny.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah. But absolutely. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your vitamin shop example.
No, yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy the vitamin shop. I also, I'm a big Amazon guy, but
yeah,
I wouldn't call that like a storefront, you know what I mean?
It's not a storefront.
Yeah.
And that's multiple products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's an experience there too.
Yeah. That's what we're about.
Yeah.
When we show up at the home, it's an experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what we want to drive. That's what I feel like the opportunity for our marketing is to really build culture across, internal and external human experience.
Yeah. What do you think the future of Richmond Window Corporation in terms of marketing looks like? What are your big plans?
Rule the world.
Total world domination.
Yeah, total world domination. As far as marketing goes, I think our biggest opportunity is to not only build process, which, makes everything more efficient, but to make sure that we can grow this culture to be sought after in our community.
Yeah, we're making a difference.
Exactly. Yeah. It is 100% something that I totally believe in every day. Waking up every day, checking GroupMe, seeing the different personalities, making sure that everybody is contributing, showing up, like really showing up.
Right.
And I know it's really hard. What we do is hard. Think about brand ambassadors in the field working at retail locations. They don't get to experience our culture like we do. You know what I mean? You and I are in the office and brand ambassadors are out at events or working in retail locations. So they're experiencing that company's culture, representing us. Right. So how do we transfer our culture and make sure that they are showing up the way that we would expect?
Yeah.
And really, you talk about it early and often. And then you think about our direct marketing associates, also called proximity marketing. So going out and knocking doors. No.
Right.
How do you...
Poor Daniel. Daniel, if you're listening, we are feeling for you right now.
But we appreciate you.
We love him.
But growing that team and making sure that you can build resilient and happy individuals is so important. And then you look at creative, you look at digital, the growth and trajectory there, talent acquisition marketing. Our team supports the whole company. So, they're working with everyone from a management position to customer experience to service to marketing.
Yeah.
That's really tough. But where I see that going is really, like you said, building the whole company.
Yeah. It's a family tree.
Aw. It's pretty nice though.
I think that's Andrew. What time are we at?
38.
Look at that.
Time flies when you're having fun.
We knocked it out.
Yeah.
Lucy, thanks so much for being here. This is
you.
super informative. I learned a ton about you, like with Paige. That's such a fun talk.
Thank you.
Yeah. But if you are listening on Spotify, I hope your commute is going well. I hope you follow the podcast page, rate it 5 stars, tell your friends, send it to your coworkers. And if you're internal, welcome. It's assumed that you're going to rate it 5 stars. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our page and share it on your favorite social media platforms. Lucy, thanks again. Producer Andrew, thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful week.